Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, as well as on Amazon. And my books are also in audio. I have a return guest. I'm happy to have Marc Fishman back on. He was last on season 5, episodes 202, 224, and 240. Now, the last time we talked, he had a major victory in New York State regarding parental alienation. Now, today we're going to talk about how this corruption continues and how Marc Fishman may have a RICO case. So I totally welcome you back to the podcast, Marc. You've got a lot going on.
Thank you, Marianne. And thank you for all your advocacy and exposing the corruption. Um, yes, thanks to the Attorney General, Letitia James, Law Enforcement Misconduct Unit, designating the cop who falsely arrested me during supervised visitation as pattern misconduct. The cop has been terminated,
Mhm.
who arrested me during supervised visitation with my supervisor for not going on the ex-wife's property. And a lot of interesting things have developed through FOIL, getting public records, and
Mhm.
through the continued criminal case and upcoming parent alienation hearing. So yes, we achieved something which a lot of my friends, you know, really want. You want is we have a parent alienation trial starting August 11th, a trial on parent alienation over my ex-wife's objections, for my ex-wife conspiring with the misconduct cops to interfere with my right to visitation and frustrate visitation to the point where Judge Rose Cabanella suspended child support for my child, Aiden, my one of my twins who hasn't been to a visit since 18. So we
Mhm.
have a parent alienation hearing on terminating support for the rest of the kids. I love my kids. I'll support them forever. It doesn't mean my ex-wife should get a dime. And quite frankly, what is more parent alienating than a disability parent alienation calling in a false arrest while I'm on a $500 prepaid, pre-scheduled, pre-confirmed visit on my 15th of the month? You know,
Right. Right. And if people want to know more about that, they're welcome to go back to these episodes of 202, 224, and 240. So, it's like I I don't know when they're gonna quit. And even your ex still wants child support on a was it 22-year-old, one of your kids that's 22?
correct. So Judge Rose just signed that show cause in the introductory part of her case. We had a subsequent hearing where she asked my ex-wife why she wants child support for an emancipated child at 21. And my ex-wife said, well, our divorce agreement says if the child is in a secondary education, that support continues to 22. But it also says until the kid's emancipated. Judge Rhodes emancipated the kid March 1st. My daughter turned 21 February 9th, of this year. I shouldn't have to file to terminate once she terminates 21.
Hmm.
Child support collection unit doesn't have a right to collect support after 21 unless the kid's disabled. My oldest
Right.
daughter is an honor student, took a lot of AP courses. And now I'm having to fight and go to court to get child support for an emancipated child off the record.
Ah,
It's retaliation.
right.
And it's worse because my daughter has graduated, SUNY Binghamton this month. So what the judge wants to give her a hearing on support for March, April, May. I wasn't allowed to use my college savings accounts to pay for my kids' college education. I can't send my kids a check. I can't call them. There's a criminal order of protection, Mary. Criminal order of protection for violating an oral order of protection I never got. Okay, with my supervisor present. And by the way, the supervisor never got the oral order of protection. How could you be convicted when a jury and a judge wants to convict you and they're given limited information that a judge tells them to convict? They convict. Our process on justice system is so unfair. This case should never happen. I spent
Right.
5, 6 years in domestic violence court just this incident. Marianne, we got the video and audio, as many of your viewers know, in federal court. I sued the cops pro se. Okay, eventually got an attorney, got to federal court. After 4 years and 10 months, the cops were under federal oath were saying, where's the video and audio in the police precinct and the telephone call and they finally produced it after not producing it for 4 years, 10 months. This is after the cops referred Officer Schlesinger, the arresting officer, for misconduct with the Attorney General. But they didn't mention that in discovery, didn't provide the reports. We didn't know about it until Christmas Eve last year when Letitia James made it public. A public investigation that she said she notified RDA and notified the president of the Senate and the president of the Assembly in New York, as well as the governor, of pattern misconduct, and no one investigating last year. It's amazing. It's astounding. If you are disabled and you're in New York family court and criminal court, you have no rights. No one is giving you accommodations. No one is helping you. What takes the cake is that this oral order protection was said to me. I have a hearing impairment. I have tinnitus. I have a septal neuralgia, burning eyes. I never got a written copy of this. My ex did. My attorney never got a written copy of this. Okay, and I'm being persecuted for an oral order protection, complete stay away. But the copy I did get said the subject of visitation, 2 Saturdays a month. So this is amazing because a month after trial, Marianne, the trial was in January 20. A month after trial, the appellate division affirms the order of protection. Okay, and it affirms visitation. And I'll read it for your viewers. It said, Mr. Fishman is the order of protection is affirmed. It shouldn't be taken to be permanent stigma. Mr. Fishman for 2 years is to stay away from the kids' home, work, and school, except EXCEPT for limited supervised visitation on the 1st and 15th of the month. Then 2 paragraphs down said the same thing again. I was arrested on the 15th. At the police station, asked for a police report that my ex-wife wouldn't let me have the kids to my supervisor, who pre-confirmed the visit. The supervisor went to the property. And the audio call to the police, which of course, you know, Marianne, hey, come on, it's New York, it's New Rochelle. Oh no, the audio call doesn't exist. Oh, but it exists in federal court, cop, when you're about to face perjury. You know, we got federal judges here. I admire federal judges, the great ladies and men. They had to get elected by a majority of the Senate. When they say, is there audio video? And I'm reminding you, cop, you're under federal oath, 6 months in jail. If you don't tell, oh, yeah, we have the audio and video. It's in my drawer. Oh, great. Can Mr. Fishman out? Oh, yeah, we're going to give it to him tomorrow. Wow, 4 years and 10 months? It's in your drawer? These are digital recordings. So in addition to my ex-wife telling the cop, hello, I want to call in that my husband doesn't have visitation today. It was canceled. And his supervisor came to the property. I was shocked to see her. Oh, do you want him arrested? No, I don't want him arrested. I just want to note the record. Does he have a complete stay away order, or is there carve-out visitation? There's no carve-out visitation. Miss, I want to repeat again. It's a complete stay away order. Yes, it's a complete stay away order. How do you have a complete stay away order, Marianne, if you have an order for visitation? So this goes back to the corruption of Judge Schauer. Because we never got this order of protection, it was never canceled or noted that the person who typed it didn't put it into a subject of visitation. But the subsequent ones, Judge Schauer, the other 9 all said subject to visitation. The supervisor was appointed 18. This order was issued June 27, 17, the same day Judge Schauer threw me in jail for my daughter ordering off the Amazon account and buying gifts and saying I violated order of protection. I had given my daughter $1,000 actually 2 years before as a gift card, and she was buying gifts for her and her brother. I go to jail for this confinement in the jail hospital, 3 weeks in the jail hospital. So, circling around, make a long story short, this supervisor who had us for over a year was never given a complete stay away order. If it's a complete stay away, then there's no visits. But she was given the June 2018 visitation order, which I had, which is said that the visits are every 1st to 15th, 10 to 5. If Mr. Fishman doesn't show up, then he has no makeup. If Ms. Solomon cancels, it's the following weekend. We never got a note on December 15, 18 or before saying the visit was canceled. Matter of fact, I got a confirmation. Matter of fact, I have texts from the supervisor to Max saying visits on with my autistic son. None of the other kids were home. But yet, as a result of this criminal conviction that my ex-wife called in, no, I don't want him arrested. No, he didn't go on my property. Where is your ex-wife? Oh, he's 2 houses away. Did he go on your property? No. Did he talk to you? No. Did he send you a lasting message? No. Did he look at you? No. So you're telling me that he has complete stay away order, so he shouldn't be anywhere. Correct. Okay, 2 days later, she files out an arrest report saying I went on her property. Jury didn't get to see the audio. Now I went to the police station voluntarily. Very frustrated. Here I have an aide who has to drive. They don't let me drive with traumatic brain injury. My aide was court appointed too. My aide was court appointed to assist me with visitation. I have an autistic kid. There's 4 kids. You know, I'd have a babysitter or a helper, regardless with 4 kids, if I had a supervised visitation or not. And so I'm at the police station, and I tell them this is my aide. I need her help to communicate. We have all the court files in the car. I have someone with me. I need her to interpret these. These are complicated, and let her stay with me. No, they separate her from me. Hence the federal lawsuit for failing to accommodate disabilities and violation of Section 504, which has survived over 6 years because guilty or innocent, cops got to accommodate. And Marion, what's on the video? After cops said, of course, you didn't ask for accommodation. 3 times, Marianne, at the window, Mr. Fishman's asking for an accommodation, pointing to the disability aid, saying we have the order from March 30th saying the judge pointed her aid. Matter of fact, Judge Schauer is so difficult to deal with that Judge Schauer only appointed her if my ex-wife agreed. What place in a government does your ex-wife or enemy have to agree if you get an accommodation? My ex-wife had to agree. The ex-wife's attorney had to agree. The children's attorney had to agree. My attorney had to agree. My disability aid in court had to agree. And I had to agree. So all those people agreed she's disability aid, but the cops won't let her help me with a cognitive impairment when I am highly, visibly in memory cognitive school at the Browns Institute. Sorry about the noise. In 2018, 17, 18, and speech classes and memory, you are separating my cognitive aid and my memory is at 4%. And you're not allowing me to have the medical bag, which has my neurostimulator remote that controls nerve pain and you're not allowing me to have my glasses for simple neuralgia. Okay. And for those of you who are unaware, simple neuralgia is the headache disorder. I can't deal with bright lights. So I have specialized sunglasses. They put me in a bright room without my aid. Bright lights, I immediately get a headache. I show him my brain injury card in my wallet. The cop slasher says, I don't care. And I show him my implant card. He says, it's irrelevant to me. I said, no, I need my aid, my note taker. And give me a pen and paper. I'm not going to be no. I'm not, nothing. You can't have anything. He goes back and forth to a supervisor. I said, I need a pen and paper. He says, no, is this your visitation order? I said, I can't read. It's single spaced, 28 pages. I can't read the whole thing. Is this your signature? And I said, that's my signature. He goes to the supervisor. Is that your signature? Yeah. Is this the order of protection you had? Yes, this is the order of protection. It says 1st and 15th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're here at 11 a.m. Voluntary went to the police station. It was a visit. Didn't violate anything. Well, Mr. Fishman, this is the biggest visitation order I've ever seen. 28 pages, single-sided, single space, double-sided, Marion. Okay? He says, start reading it. I said, I can't read it. He says, you got to show me the places where you're allowed this visit. Sir, I'm disabled. Read my brain injury card. For the traumatic brain injury. I need my aid. I need my glasses. Please get my aid. Let her sit here, and she can read it for you. No. Start reading it. I start reading it, Marianne. First 3 paragraphs, I turn red, get a massive headache, and go like this. And then he goes back to his chief. I said, I need my aid. This is really, torture. For those of you who, are veterans, I help a lot of veterans, with the TBI suicide line, manning it. I'm not a veteran, but I can tell you when you have a TBI and tinnitus and you have nerve injury, in aggravating settings, the nerve injury gets so high, my stimulator raises the level of stimulation so my left head goes numb. I'm hearing with one ear. And I don't even have my control to raise the stimulation to try and communicate. And he's like, no, I'm not letting your aid in. Excuse me? So this is what started the federal lawsuit a month after I was falsely arrested after the DA wouldn't drop charges. And the DA then goes and gets a criminal order of protection for all my kids. I have 4, even though only my autistic kid was home. We were supposed to pick up my autistic kid, take him to special hockey, playing a driver with his hockey stick, water equipment. The police also say you were calling out to your kid to come to the car. Yeah, with the supervisor there. That's what we normally do. We
Right.
get him there early to dress him. He's got 18 pieces of safety clothing, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
and, so why wasn't I charged with violating the order of protection for the kids? Oh, well, no, just for the wife. Just for the wife. So I wasn't even convicted or charged for the kids. Okay, wasn't allowed to have my visit. Um, and then the case, after 2 hearings in New Rochelle, where Marianne, conspiracy, RICO, right? New
Mhm.
Rochelle cannot transcribe the transcripts. The person who was the minute taker, the court reporter, took it in shorthand, so we can't transcribe. So give me the videos. No. Oh, you don't want to give it because the judge said there wasn't evidence of a crime, and then she withdrew from the case. You mean you forced her out because she's gone against Judge Schauer? Um, and then afterwards, it's like criminal order protection for the kids. We're now in the 7th year, so I can't even write to the kids.
Ah,
I can't contact kids. My kids now are 21 on 3 months, 19 and a half, and twin 16 and a half year olds. And, the reason I mention this is because this is cruel. And Judge Schauer to this day still feels that she's in the right and that she feels I'm not disabled. She thinks I'm just crazy. Why would
ah,
someone fight this hard for your kids for 7 years? You take away the cubs from Papa Bear, he ain't going to sit there. I don't know how to just sit there.
right.
So that's some of the anecdotes trying to put together the pieces. But we're very fortunate, as I said, to have had, while my federal case is still in court, the Attorney General report now saying pattern misconduct. Pattern misconduct in New York basically means the chief had to report you to the Attorney General as a cop. You had 5 or more instances of malfeasance. In the report, 11 pages, it cites that officer/year should not have any engagement with the public. He lies, according to his best video and his reports. He didn't have a
Mhm.
best video back then. It was 17. His reports are untruthful. Oh, yeah, Marianne, let's talk about the arrest report. Oh, Mark's arrest report. Um, on a domestic violence report, first question asked, is the person being supervised? Is the supervisor present? Officer Schlesinger and Officer Kane, Officer Cocaine, okay, because Officer
Yeah.
Cocaine, if the report, was fired in June because he planted drugs on a personal trainer with his vest cam. Okay, the 2
Ooh.
stooges, we got Officer Cocaine and we got Officer Schlesinger, right? So they both marked, is the supervisor present? Unknown. Huh? The video says you're talking to my supervisor 9 times, the police precinct, and saying, are you the supervisor? Authenticate the agreement. Are you the supervisor of this visitation order? Is this you? And she's over there saying Mark didn't commit a crime. He has a visit. Okay, I'm the supervisor. But on the report, it says unknown. You know why, Marianne? Because if it said that the supervisor was present, okay, there's no arrest. Oh,
Mhm,
let's
mhm.
manufacture arrest. Why do you got to manufacture arrest? Well, because these police chiefs are very educated, these police officers. Keep in mind, they had the whole police staff. I'm in the precinct voluntarily. I'm not cuffed. I'm not Red Miranda. And Marianne, in Westchester County, under the penal code, if you are court appointed as a visitation supervisor, as a supervisor of visitation, you are a probation officer.
Hmm.
That's cops 101. Is she a probation officer or not? We don't know. You don't know? But you called her that 9 times on the video that you didn't give to me. That the DA says they never got. And I'm still facing the criminal charge that haven't been dismissed. Corruption at the highest level.
Also, custodial interference in some way.
Totally. And I'm glad you lead into it. So after we got the report on Officer Cocaine, because we tied him to the report in January that his supervisor said he wrote the arrest, bail application, and the booking. We then went to the domestic violence judge to get me out of domestic violence court, dismissed the case. She got me out of domestic violence court, referred me back to family court. Judge Capici, the terrorizing domestic violence judge who hates anyone who's a man, let's be honest, who
Mhm.
indicted the mayor and then he was acquitted, my friend Adam Bradley. Okay, she's over there and she removes me from domestic violence. There's no case here. So I'm sent back to quote unquote family court. Wait a second, there's 3 motions pending, Marianne. There's 1 motion because domestic violence court, for those of you who know or don't know about New York, domestic violence court is criminal court and family court combined for intimate partners. So my three motions filed with consent, because I had a gatekeeping offer, because Marianne, they never wanted me to get the truth. Okay, one for change of custody, one for Parental Alienation, terminating child support. Okay, one for terminating child care that doesn't exist. Okay, and the one for dismissing the case, now referred to two judges. Oh, the plot thickens. So what happens? Well, the support judge, Judge Rose Cabanella, who replaced Magistrate Jordan after 13 years, I'm happy to report that my case and several others got Magistrate Jordan fired on the 28th of February. It should. She's over there saying I should pay child care. It doesn't exist. She's over there not lowering my support. I'm in rehab for memory. I'm not working for years, and she has me paying $3,800 in support. I mean, just absurd. So she's out. So Judge Rose immediately gets my show cause and talks about Officer Cocaine planting the drugs, and yet he's the one who writes the report that there's no cameras present. Oh yeah, are cameras and audio present on the arrest report? Blank. Duh. Marianne, I'm in real estate, but I'm very visual. Mm-hmm. And you're very gracious to have closed captioning on your screen, enabled for Zoom. I use this, right?
Yeah.
Marianne, I saw 9 cameras in the ceiling in the police precinct. They're new. What are you telling me there's no camera? You said a report was called in. Where's the phone? Oh, we don't have it. It's not ready. We lost it. Oh, it doesn't exist. For 4 years and 10 months. 4 years and 10 months. 4 years and 10 months. We have enhanced discovery. We find out that the DA had a hearing with judge while I was burying my mom with breast cancer. The judge let me waive court first couple weeks, the criminal judge, to go bury my mom. Okay. They had a hearing. Oh, the DA tells the judge, the criminal judge, without me there. Okay. The cop refuses to sign the enhanced discovery affidavit. You can't go to trial without that. He refused to sign. Why refusing to sign it? Because it says, have you provided all audio and video? In New York, after January 120, my trial was January 24th, 20. If the cops are in possession of exonerating discovery, the DA is. The district attorney is. Mm-hmm. The district attorney was Judge Scarpino. Oh, the judges are all friends with each other in Westchester. Is a judge wants to be convicted no matter what. So no disclosure of cameras and audio. Matter of fact, representations from the DA direct to my face that no cameras exist. But the DA said that the attorney refused, the cop refused to sign the disclosure. Okay, so why are we having a trial? Again, I didn't get this transfer for 3 years. They said there was no court that day. Why are we having a trial? Under law says if you don't get discovery, you got to do an extensive investigation. The DA office in New Rochelle is one flight above the police. She knows there's cameras there. Where's your extensive investigation? Where's your cameras and audio? Why aren't you investigating Officer Schlesinger, who has the third most disciplinary reports that they didn't give me? Why aren't you looking to Officer Kane, who has the second most? Oh, well, no, we gave him a medal that year. You gave him a medal? Really? Wow. Okay. So wait a second. They don't investigate. They don't do the extensive thing. A judge is not supposed to have a trial. They have their trial. It was the first 2 weeks of enhanced discovery reform in New York. Now there's a portal. There wasn't a portal then. So we've been foiling the DA constantly. They constantly say we never had any audio and video. But the law says you did if the cop had it, right? So meanwhile, well, here I am with my federal lawsuit. We deposed the cop. We deposed his boss. We deposed internal affairs. We never deposed Kane because, quite frankly, we didn't think the person who signed the arrest report as supervisor was necessary, and he wasn't arrested till last June. But now, in my case, you only have cops which are now fired. Mm-hmm. And the DA doesn't drop charges. This is amazing. So I'm happy to report on your news first that the deadline for the DA to respond to my motion to dismiss, which was filed February 12th, not signed by the criminal judge who took over the case from IDV, was signed April 15th, gave until yesterday for the DA to oppose dismissing the case, terminating arrest warrants they have on me. Yeah, arrest warrant. You got to arrest a disabled person with a hearing impairment and 2 batteries in the chest. Come arrest me. For what? Okay, and the bail warrant and dismiss the lifetime order of protection. The deadline for the DA to respond was yesterday. Okay, she hasn't responded to anything about Schlesinger in the last year. We've gone through 2 DAs. We had Miriam Rocha, who was the star under Preet Bharara, who keeps on touting her wrongful conviction unit that wouldn't give me access to review my conviction, discriminating as a disabled person, because Mimi Rocha was on my sister's place, which escorted my ex-wife on her quote-unquote domestic violence allegations into the courtroom during a criminal trial. How are you the DA? Scarpino to Mimi Rocha. So wait a second. Yesterday, instead of opposing my motion, The new DA, Judge Kachesi. We got another judge, Judge Kachesi, 23 years, the longest serving judge in Westchester, part of the crew. Marianne, we got the crew here, right? Okay. She doesn't respond to my motion to dismiss. Now I'm pro se. As I said, you're going to torture me. I'm just going to do it myself. Okay. I'm pro se. I've been in the hospital 2 days this week for passing kidney stones. Still have 3 left. Okay. I have my neuropathy. I'm having major headaches and stuff, and I'm waiting. And instead of the DA responding to my motion to dismiss, she just ignores it again, right? So she posts awareness of domestic violence survivors and how easy it is to call in an order of protection. And we can help you. Here's directions, and look at My Sister's Place. What a wonderful organization. What a wonderful organization. I'm the abused one here. My 2 letters of abuse are unfounded. Okay, the judge won't let the jury see them. It says, Mr. Fishman strangled the kids picking them up from the gym when they were 4, 5 years old, and 14. Marianne, as I said to you, I have cubital tunnel syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
These can't squeeze a tennis ball. Mm-hmm. How am I supposed to strangle the kids, taking them home for supervised visitation when they're 4? It was the fastest dismissal by CPS and ACS, and CPS and ACS had complaints. They said, I strangled the kids, abrasions, okay, beat them up. My kids were at gymnastics class, open session, and they were rough for each other. And the cops and the DA back then, and ACS and CPS, they saw the video. Mark was having a milkshake at Johnny Rockets for the hour that the kids were in the gym. One fell off the uneven bars. Mm-hmm. They got supervision there. They were there for 4 or 5 years. How did I strangle anybody? What is this crap? How did I abuse what? But, in family court, I have to say, during the trial, even though Judge Schauer said it was unfounded, and get this, Marianne, I live in New York City. So it's unfounded by ACS, New York City, which is very, very tough, and unfounded by Westchester CPS. In the first 4 weeks of the complaint, the first 4 weeks, everyone tell you no. They interviewed my daughter. My daughter said, Mommy lies. Okay? Right over there. They interviewed Jim and said, I'm the nicest parent. I cheerlead the kids. I'm always there. Okay? Take them to museums and to Florida, to California, see my family. Kids love me. And I'm Mr. Mom, and the police said, looked at my medical, and they're like, you think he could have strangled them while driving? You think he did this? I mean, how? I just had my stimulator put in, which means I had a hard time turning left, and my arm was in a wrap, and I couldn't hold the glasses in the left hand. But she says I strangled. So she got an order of protection that she's had now for 11 years from this. They didn't revoke hers. The kids have been on and off with having them. And of course, what was the point of the criminal trial? It was to keep Mark from ever, seeing his kids again before they're 18. Because after I got convicted, right after, we have no camera, we have no audio, we have the ex lying, saying that I went on the border of property and was harassing her without her video. Okay, we don't have the police video. You got 5, 6 people all saying I didn't go on the property. You got everyone saying it's a visit. Okay. And they convicted me of attempted and actually violating order of protection. 2 crimes for 1 crime charge. They didn't even charge me. The judge was required to record that as defective verdict. The DA admitted on 11/12/21 that the verdict was defective under 31050. What that means is the judge was asked to send the jury back to instruct them the difference between attempted violation of order of protection and actual. Okay? He didn't. He said convict them of both or convict them of none. He added attempted. He added attempted to the jury in the consecutive because he wanted to screw me for getting an order against Judge Schauer in the court. They discriminated, didn't provide closed captioning note taker. He wanted to discriminate. So now you have this corruption. So the corruption goes on, Marion. So I was guilty. Sentence me. No. The DA says no. Why don't you sentence me at 20? Well, they didn't want me to appeal, Marianne. You can't appeal. We tried. Wait. So he come back next day. The judge says, I want order of protection just for the ex-wife. I want order of protection just for the ex-wife. Bring it, DA. The DA comes in, and I said, Mr. Fishman, what time you have, your rehab? I said, Your Honor, I'm in 1 to 4. I'd be happy to come in the morning, and entertain the court schedule. We're there at 11 a.m. And the judge is completely blasted. The DA saying, why do I have a order of protection for 4 kids? I said, I have Mr. Fishman's bail. He can't contact those 4 kids unless family court says so. Why do I have this? DA, I told you Mr. Fishman has rehab in the afternoon. Don't waste our time. You want an order of protection sentencing. I told Ms. Fisher I'm not going to sentence him for 6 months because I want to read through his history and that stuff. And my attorney said, just sentence him. You get a maximum 1 year order of protection or 1 year in jail or a fine. First time offender, you don't get anything, right? No. Then we come back 2 days later. The DA still brings back order of protection, all 4 kids. He's hollering at the DA. I'm over there. Come back the following week. Same thing. He goes to the DA, Mr. Fishman is in 5 rehab classes. I asked you for an order of protection just with the ex-wife. You bring me the kids. Oh, but he's a domestic violence terrorist like Woody Allen and molests his kids. So we need this. And the judge said, even if I thought that was the case, which isn't the case here, and I remind you, you didn't charge him for the kids. You didn't charge him. You didn't convict him. I said, I don't have any authority. Yes, you do. Because the judge in the Woody Allen case, when he's having sex with his adopted daughter, said, what? What are you talking about? I have a battery in my right, battery in my chest, metal hip. I have wires over here. I had a visit with my kid. What is this? So the bottom line is the judge gave in a month later, gave the order of protection to all the kids. Okay. And then I had colon cancer. So I was not sentenced. Then we have COVID. We have hearings virtually. My attorney begs him, sentence Marc so he can appeal. No. When COVID's over, he can come into court. Your Honor, he just had a stimulated infection. His implant's being changed. He said, no, I know Mr. Fisher's not a medical issue. I wish him well. Judge, can you modify the order of protection so I can send my kid a card, graduation, or gift? No. Can we get that in writing so you can appeal? No. We appealed anyway. You can't appeal those orders. So now we fast forward, Marianne, to January 22. The judge is made aware that I was in another car accident in December, and I had major foot surgery, half my bone removed, the big toe. He's like, where's Mr. Fisher? Mr. Fisher in the hospital. I'm issuing an arrest warrant. I'm not waiting anymore. And my attorney says, arrest warrant for what? Well, arrest warrant, he violated bail. There is no bail. They wrote up the bail report, and the judge refunded the bail. I don't give a shit. Arrest warrant for bail. What bail? There's no bail. So anyway, P.S. That judge then issued more protections. He eventually got off was elevated, got out of this court. And here we are, the same January 22, unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to that judge, unbeknownst to Westchester, even though we had written complaints about the cop buying my civil rights last year, to the governor, Hochul, and Letitia James, both of them wrote back saying they see no case and there's nothing to investigate. But Letitia James began her investigation on law enforcement misconduct, lying to me, Disability Rights New York, the Brain Injury Association, several of my advocates lying. You're not investigating. And then we learn now that, Marianne, most of these investigations for cops, they get resolved 6 months a year. No, New Rochelle didn't cooperate, neither did last year. So they didn't complete their report until May of 24. January 22, they get the complaint. They don't complete until May of 24. Now we followed the records. What does it say? Oh, Officer Schlester's, on desk duty. Why isn't he here? We wanted to depose him. Well, he comes in when he feels like it. He comes in when he feels like it. Yeah, you brought him to my federal deposition like he's still a cop there. What is this? Oh, so can you tell us when Officer Schlesinger is going to be in? Well, we're very concerned with his mental health. We have a lot of issues with his credibility as a cop. Really? Our jury should have known that. Where is this? This is your report to the DA, actually the Attorney General on October 23, 2 weeks before you get deposed. This is your Mr. Clean, Officer Wensler. He said, we've assigned him desk duty, Attorney General, but he comes in when he feels like it. But if you send him that email with subpoena, I think he might show up maybe if he feels like it one day. What? What is this? What is this? So May 2024, the Attorney General affirms pattern misconduct. Officer Schlechter is terminated. He served at that time about 18 years. Maybe they were trying to drag it out because if he went to 20, Marianne, he gets his full $184,000 salary as a pension. $184,000 for discriminating against disabled people like me and making up false arrests. And now he only gets half, 90 something. And what do I start getting? Anonymous email threats. If you come back to New York, we're going to hurt you. We're going to hurt your family. We're going to beat you up. You cost me $4 million in pension. I did what? Read the misconduct report. You didn't talk about me. You talk about how you falsely arrested someone who was having a heart attack instead of taking them to a hospital. You talk about how you're rude to everyone. You talk about how you're unprofessional. You talk about an incident where you go to someone's house and you say, why did you leave the scene of the crime? And they told you they went to the hospital and that their father's disabled. And the nice gentleman says, brother officer, can you give me a break? My dad was in the hospital, almost had a stroke. I left a note on my car. The cop said, no, I got your note. I'm here now. Says, but you left the scene of crime. I gotta arrest you because hit and run. My father was in the hospital. I was with him. We weren't hiding anything. Brother, please dismiss it. But Officer Slesher says, why you call me brother? What? Marianne, I got friends that are black, Chinese, Spanish. I get called brother. I get called uncle. I get called Mr. Fun. I get called Mr. Implant. My son Aiden called me Iron Man before he was alienated. Daddy's got Barry's chest. Who cares what you call me? It's communication. So what Officer Slesher said, the person says, I'm offended. You call me brother. And the guy says, I'm trying to establish a rapport with you. This is on his vest camera, the Attorney General report. I'm trying to establish a rapport with you. A brother is a nice sense. No, I find brother offensive. I'm clearly not your brother, and I'm not the color of your skin. So I find it insulting. But I'm warning you. This is your first warning. You do this again, I'm going to come arrest you. And the guy says, you're being rude to me. What are you talking about? He was in the hospital. Schlesinger hates disabled people. You're in New Rochelle where there's over 70% African Americans. You're offended someone calls you brother? Gee whiz. When was the last time you guys watched MTV or Netflix? You shouldn't be a cop. The Attorney General says it's appropriate that all contact between Officer Schlesinger and the public be curtailed. Oh, you're damn right. But my jury didn't hear this. Right? And Schlesinger in the report, arrests a mother of an MS victim because Schlesinger asked the dog to stop barking when he was having an encounter with the mother and the MS kid and a neighbor, 2016. And Schlesinger says, if that dog doesn't stop barking, I'm going to give him a beating. And the mother says, that's a service dog. He's got an orange vest. He's right near my kid, but he's making loud noises. And the mother says, he don't like you. Well, Schlesinger was my service dog. My service dog would bark like crazy. He don't like him either. So Schlesinger takes out the baton, Marianne, walks over to the dog, goes like this. The mother goes like this to the dog, covers the dog. The Schlesinger arrests the mother for interfering with a government act. Interfering with official government. What? The dog didn't move. The dog was next to the MS guy, kid in the wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that case got dismissed. Why was an Officer Schlesinger fired? Those of us who do disability advocacy, this is pattern discrimination. Look at how he's isolating disabled people. Mm-hmm. But if it's his mother who's disabled, oh no, there's an exception. So the final instance of Schlesinger in the Attorney General report, again, Attorney General report referred by his police chief, because he had over 1 of 5 instances in 2 years. Says Schlesinger went to Nassau Hospital. His mother had COVID. I wish his mother well. It says that they said she's in the isolation unit. She's in the ventilation. We don't allow anyone up there. No guests, no visitors. He shows his badge. He says, I'm a cop. He does his John Wayne. He puts his hand on his gun. I'm a cop. You got to let me in. You can't go in. He walks in. Second security point. Sorry, you can't go in. She's a Medicaid unit. I know you want to see your mother. You can't go in. She's got the ventilator on. He says, dude, I'm a cop. I'm walking. The third one, I'm told he's holding the holster and he walks in, right? He sees the mother. The mother lives, thank God. Outside, the Nassau cops finally greet him and said, why are you trespassing? Why are you doing this? Oh, a fellow officer in your other precinct, give me a favor. Sir, you could have contaminated the ventilation for all the other patients. What are you doing? In the hospital. So they don't arrest and they don't press charges. Marianne, you and I would have taken out leg irons and handcuffs.
Yes.
And shoved in a hole. So Nassau kind of the police chief, and that was the number 5 incident. Of course, there were 32 instances that the Attorney General said, but she was only referred to 5, not mine. How are you referred to 5? Mine's in federal court and papers and on the internet for over 4 years at that point. How are you not doing mine? Oh, but you're the Attorney General. You're representing family court in my federal lawsuit, and Judge Schauer and her clerk and Judge Greenwald for all denying me a note taker, the captioning system, all denying me an aid, all denying me help, and making me spend tens of thousands of dollars on reports because you want some therapist to say I have a mental impairment when I have a TBI. It's an acquired brain injury, and I have nerve injuries. okay? And you say to yourself, and I said to Judge Schauer, we encourage our kids to go hang out with their grandparents and their aunt and uncle. We all get old. We all become disabled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're saying I can't be with my kids unsupervised, or I can't see my kids, period. But you are there saying that someone else can go see a grandmother who has one leg or has diabetes or has dementia. You're not teaching the kids empathy.
Right.
Judge Schauer said, who cares about empathy? Monster.
Yes.
So, now we go full circle, Marianne. So, circling back to where we are, of course, they delayed the release of Slash's report. They were hoping the federal judge would dismiss the case beforehand. He did not. Okay, now we got Officer Kane, because looking at this more detailed, is this Officer Kane the same one who's been on TV? The same one referred to a grand jury after he calls in an arrest, takes cocaine out of his car. The vest is going, Officer Cocaine. And he goes over to Ivan Harper's car last June, and he says, found drugs. And then Officer Cocaine, Sean Kane, is then seen taking the drugs out of the glove compartment on his vest cam, putting it in the wheel well of his car, and then saying, you got to arrest the guy because we found drugs. When he had pressed his vest twice, he thought it was off. The vest wasn't off. It was still recording. Where was Ivan Harper? He was already held by the guy's partner 12 blocks away. So Officer Kane, immediately suspended, files for disability pension, is prosecuted by D.A. Rocha, right? Not for my case. He was involved in my case then, okay? And gets a no bill from the grand jury. Oh, you mean D.A. Rocha, you told the grand jury not to charge him. How does someone now get charged when he's planning drugs like that? How does this happen? This is New Rochelle. This is D.A. Rocha. She says, I respect the grand jury. You respect the grand jury? Or maybe you didn't give him all the evidence. Maybe if you would have given the evidence in my case, if you would have looked at my case, or given evidence somewhere else that Officer Kane has a pattern or has all these disciplinary records where he lies. No, you protect your own, because cops are above the law in Westchester, New Rochelle, and disabled people are criminals because we're disabled. And if we want to have a normal life and help our kids, we don't have a right. So fast forward, what happens to Marc Fishman? More retaliation. After Judge Rose signs one of my 3 show causes, after Peachy has relinquished the case, Marion, they use the term very clearly, relinquished, not recused. Okay, we've already had 8 judges recused in writing, right? Relinquished. Okay, Judge Rose hears all this and sees the misconduct report. The only misconduct report ever filed in Westchester. It's 24 in the state right now in 4 years. Westchester has 1.1 million people. I got the only misconduct report showing there's no credibility here, there'd be no arrest. There was no grand jury indictment in my case. This was a misdemeanor information signed by Officer Schlesinger. That means nothing. He says I went to the property. Yeah. He also said going to the hospital trespassing wasn't a crime. He also said that the person who brought their father to the hospital, instead of saying for the scene of a little tap, hit and run, okay, was a hit and run to be arrested. What? These aren't crimes. You hate disabled people. Why do you hate disabled people? But when your mother's disabled, she should be accommodated. You should be allowed to see her. But if anyone else, we get persecuted, punished, false arrest, false crimes. So now we have once Judge Schauer, my disability discriminating terrorist antagonist judge, who wouldn't issue a final order, who I got a final order in federal court, who I sued, Attorney General defended, who got dismissed, but her assistant did get dismissed, her court attorney, Michelle D'Ambrosio, that went all the way to the Supreme Court for 4 years because Michelle D'Ambrosio blocked my note taker, blocked the note taker from coming in. But my ex-wife could have 18 people supporting her, not disabled. Blocked the note taker, okay? Gets word that Judge Rose has referred my case to Parental Alienation, because a magistrate can't term Parental Alienation, after terminating, suspending support for the kid who didn't go to visits for a number of years. Peachy never met one of the kids, whatever, over 100 visits missed. Judge Rose refers the alienation to Judge Burke, because Judge Rose is in New Rochelle. We had a virtual hearing in California, our virtual accommodation, but Judge Rose's case are all virtual, right? So the order says referred to Judge Burke. Contact Judge Burke. Judge Burke supplies counsel. She knows I'm not working. She knows I have all these disabilities and dealing with kidney stones, neuropathy, and cancer. And then I have a first assigned attorney, and he contacts me, and he says, the case has been reassigned to Judge Schauer. How'd she get the case? I'm told she recused. Court administration said she recused to federal Judge Karras. 8 of our judges all said they recused. That's why they heard the case in 2018. Where's the recusal notice on her? Oh, she never signed a recusal notice. Oh, you mean you're saying now she never did, but she represented all these people. She's still a witness in the criminal case, hasn't dismissed. She's a witness in the federal case. New Rochelle wants to call her and say, why didn't you issue a written order of protection? Or why didn't you give him a written one? Or, you say he's not disabled. The federal judge already confirmed I'm disabled. So you want to rebuttal with this wit. So Judge Schauer, gets the case. She takes it away from Judge Burke. I didn't know you could take away cases. Judge Schauer's in White Plains. We've been assigned to Rochelle. We've pretty much always been in Rochelle. You're taking away cases. I may find out you got to recuse. 2 more attorneys then, recuse, who are assigned to represent me. We know she's calling everyone. No one will do it. You know why? Because Judge Schauer hates attorneys that file recusal against her. So the attorney niece of our first law guardian, who said I was an exceptional parent in 2014, his name was Charles McGoey. His niece, Jillian McGoey, told Schauer she should recuse in another case over 8 years ago. And she said, you're too biased, you're too prejudiced, you discriminate against disabled people. Everything I've been saying for years about this judge who had me for 5 years, threw me in jail for what she said is not abiding by an oral order of protection. And my daughter sending gifts, saying I couldn't send gifts. But my daughter ordered gifts on her own, so I go to jail. Even though the order of protection said you can send gifts, Judge Schauer said, those aren't major holidays. The order of protection says send gifts on major holidays. Ridiculous, absurd. So even though McGoey filed that recusal, Judge Schauer then said, I'm not recusing, but I refuse to sign your 18B payment authorization, and I'm sanctioning you $1,500. Jillian McGoey's on a case for 4 months. She can't get paid. Oh, why? Oh, because you filed a recusal against Schauer? Oh, you can't do that. Schauer's the queen. Oh, yeah. Well, you know you're not going to get a fair trial. Your client's confused. So Jillian McGoey lost all business in family court. Jillian McGoey filed an appeal. And the Brooklyn Appellate Court reversed, saying you can't take away a poor person attorney pay because you don't like their recusal because you're biased. You are recused from this case, Judge Schauer, and the person gets paid. They don't want to do that because then everyone sees. They're like, oh, no, you go against Schauer. And Schauer has survived this appeal. She used to work in the appellate division. So you say, so how does she survive an appeal? How is the appellate division in Brooklyn the only court which still says I'm not disabled in their orders, but accommodates me whenever I have oral hearings with interpreters and real-time to show notes? But they say I'm not disabled. They say I didn't prove. No, I don't prove I'm disabled. My doctors did. The same Dr. Schauer made me do during the family court hearing for 4 years, all saying I'm hearing impaired, memory impaired. And Judge Schauer says, that belies the record, you're faking it. So we have an oral hearing with Judge Schauer, April 28th. I immediately asked her to recuse. The attorney steps aside. She said, no, you got to stay for the hearing so I can talk to your client. My ex-wife puts in a motion to dismiss to have the Parental Alienation trial. And I said, Judge Schauer, you're too biased to hear this. I said, you're going to let her, you're going to let her get away with this? She associated with a cop. She lied on video and audio. I said, I'm here now for 20 minutes. No one has mentioned except for me the fact that a cop was terminated, 2 of them. No one's mentioned except for me that a DA hasn't responded or investigated any of the cops' files, even though Tish, the police chief in New York City, with 14 of these cops. I said, you're not going to let me have due process. I said, you have to recuse. You're a witness in 2 other cases. Mr. Fishman, everything you say is wrong. You didn't win in federal court. Your Honor, July 16, 21. Look at your name. Marc Fishman against Court Administration, Judge Schauer, Michelle D'Ambrosio, Judge Greenwald. It is hereby ordered that Mr. Fishman is to have communication accommodation for his disability. You denied those communication accommodations for 4 years. So did your subsequent judges. Now I have an order from the court system to get them. I'm appearing before you with transcription. No, you have no transcription on. Oh, you're lying about that too? Mr. Fishman, that order is only good against me in federal court. Oh, Your Honor, guess what? It doesn't say that in the order. Matter of fact, all your judges and the court administration said, we have to get the accommodation in all New York courts. In Nancy Barry, the court system. And no one else fights over it. Why do you hate to save people? Mr. Fishman, everything you say is untrue. We have the one judge rule, where the one judge hear it all. I'm the most experienced here, so I took this case away from Judge Burke. You took it away? Really? You're allowed to do that? I didn't know that we can't get fair and partial justice. No, you'll get your Parental Alienation trial. It'll be August 11th. Oh, I need it from a different judge. No, you won't. I said, what happens when your court attorney gets subpoenaed to testify? She's on a New Rochelle list of federal case. We'll deal with that when it happens. But look at this decision. She cites decision saying, I don't have to recuse if you're suing me in federal court or if you won against me in federal court. What are you talking about? Judicial Codes of Conduct 100.1 to 109. You cannot be a case where you're a witness in the underlying matter. Judge, the underlying matter was a false arrest during your order of protection, which was oral, contradicting your written oral protection, and you're not giving it to a supervisor. I mean, not going on property. I said, your a court attorney gave it to my ex-wife. He didn't give it to me. It was never given to me. You expect me to remember that? You remember when you want to. You'll get your hearing, and I'm taking away your assigned attorney. Oh, really? So Judge Burke gave me a assigned attorney. I'm taking away also for your hearing in front of the magistrate and magistrate. You can't do that. Yes, I can. If you want one, you're going to have to apply for one now. Your Honor, the trial with magistrate for the child care and the emancipation and the overcharges is in 3 weeks. I need an attorney. Oh, so what? Deal with her on that. I don't care. I said, you need to recuse, Your Honor. You need to recuse. You can't be on this. You're too biased. And clearly you have no empathy. And, Thomas Fishman, you could apply or you could hire your own attorney. I said, attorneys won't take the case because they fear you. They fear you. They fear not getting paid. They fear losing business. They fear they're all like, okay, it's a red line. There's no attorney to hire. So the retaliation, man, because Judge Rose signed an order taking away $48,000 support. Because in New York, we have a law that says if your ex-wife frustrates visitation access to kids so much that it's willful interference, uncontested, unbelievable. What is more willful interference than having me arrested during supervised visitation with a $500 a day supervisor to take an autistic kid from her place to his hockey special needs class and hang out with him for 8 hours with a driver? And you know what they told the jury? Mr. Fishman did not go on the property. Yet I'm convicted. If a judge tells a jury to convict, they convict. The judge had a responsibility. Okay, at the criminal trial, if you add a charge, he added attempted, because I was just being sued for complete violation of order of protection. You had to go on the property. The order of protection, which I never got, had no distance to stay away from the property. Most of them do. Hers don't. Okay? You didn't go on the property. No, stay away. So you didn't violate anything. No. He says you have to find them guilty of attempted and actual without explaining to the jury what attempted is, without allowing the defense or prosecutor did, because no one had it during trial after closing arguments were done, okay, and telling them, find him guilty of both or acquit him. We objected. He said no. New DA comes in. We file a post conviction motion, dismiss 31050. 31050 says if a judge adds a charge, what he or she is allowed to do, Marianne, it must be added in the alternative in New York. Meaning, Marianne, either you stole those beautiful glasses, which you would never do, from the counter at Estee Lauder, or you attempted to. Not you stole them and you attempted to. The DA agrees. The DA agrees. Mimi Roca on November 12th, 21, and says to the judge, it's defective verdict. You can't be sentenced. Okay? Defective verdict. And the DA says, you need to drop a charge. Under 31050, there's no dropping a charge. There's dismissal, acquittal, okay, or retrial. Judge Zuckerman says, I don't care. He says, I'm going to sentence Mr. Fishman for attempting to violate and violating it over 3 years. What? When he gets out of the hospital. You don't care? You don't care? Different justice for Marc, because Marc Fishman sued the court system, got an order for real-time transcription, which helps everyone. Prove discrimination. Discrimination is if you're dealing with a government, Title II of the ADA, Marianne, and you prove you're disabled, you ask for accommodation if it's reasonable, and they deny it, knowing you're disabled, it's disability discrimination. We don't need intent. We don't need intent in federal court. We proved it. So what's the retaliation? Well, now you have to go back to Judge Schauer. Really? But you have two other judges. No, Judge Schauer took the case. Why wasn't Judge Schauer elevated to be a Supreme Court judge? You know why? My case and others. She's unfit. They cover for her, but they won't elevate her. She's now a Supreme Court judge sitting in family court, the only one in Westchester. Why? She enjoys torturing men and women. There's over 11 of us that have filed a complaint with human rights over this. Just yesterday, actually, the reporters Richard Lutherman and Dick LaFontaine on Substack reported that the same Commission of Judicial Conduct that refused to investigate Judge Schauer, okay, that the head, Bob Temjekian, okay, who received over 24 complaints in my case and others, is on the board advising a Russian oligarch. Oh, really? But did he recuse from handling Russian oligarch case in New York? Oh, of course not. Oh, he's the head of the commission, so he don't have to. Oh, so he don't have to investigate Judge Schauer because Marc Fishman sues the people in federal court wins. Because Marc Fishman goes after judges in federal court and doesn't lose. Oh, because Marc Fishman just wants to be a dad.
Mhm. So we were talking earlier about this legal services of the Hudson Valley getting all this federal funding. And should Doge be looking into this?
Absolutely. We're calling on Doge to look into this. So for those of you unaware, Legal Service Hudson Valley, okay, were the attorneys from ex-wife, because they did a favor for the law guardian on her application and said, favor, because my ex-wife's a principal, doesn't qualify for low-cost representation. They have it on domestic bonds. So they had to have Schauer say this domestic bonds, even though the orders of protection say unfounded. And even though I was never convicted of violating any domestic bonds, they had to get a domestic bonds conviction here, right? For not going on someone's property, to justify legal services, continuing to represent her. Mm. So Venetia Patel under Biden, first term, and Rebecca Bond under Biden, Rebecca Bond under Obama, both issued bulletins saying to all the nonprofits, if you accept federal funds under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act and the ADA, you cannot participate in cases supporting suspension of accommodations or denial of accommodations for disabled people or civil rights. Meaning my ex-wife in the appeals, because we did great appeals, great attorneys. Disability Rights New York wrote one of the appeals saying the judge is biased, need to throw out the ruling because she's denying accommodation for a disabled person, and then with a memory impairment, denying an accommodation and then expecting him to remember and not giving him a written order. That's intentional. You know what I'm saying? And why do you give a 28-page visitation order to someone who's disabled? 1 page.
Yeah.
You're not going to remember all that. She's told you not going to remember all that. She had a report from Columbia in evidence saying my memory was 4% when I was 44 compared to typical 44-year-olds. He's not going to register. It needs to be simple. Okay, it was simple. But of course, my ex-wife was being told that the supervisor at that time, Ann Elliott, had filed with the court to suspend supervision because I didn't need it. She was the ninth one to do that. And of course, my ex-wife then goes to terminate the supervisor or make up a false crime, as in the case here. And she almost got away with it. But thanks to Letitia James' Law Enforcement Misconduct Unit and the people in the State Assembly and the Senate, and thanks to the insurance carrier defending New Rochelle, this cop was reported to the Attorney General. And so the Law Enforcement Misconduct Report, together obviously with, a dirty cop named Officer Cocaine. I have difficulty remembering names, so I say Cocaine because it's Sergeant Kane, okay, yeah. Who planted cocaine on his video camera, damn. Something like that. Just happens to be the one who signs the arrest warrant. And you look at this thing, like, wait a second, Max said I went to the property, but on your audio it said didn't. The cop says I had intent to commit a crime. You can't be arrested for crime if you had no intent. I intend to visit my kids and have a supervised visit. Mm-hmm. I didn't intend to go on the property, I didn't see my ex-wife. Ridiculous. But if you're Marc Fishman, who sues the judge's apparatus and wins accommodations, enforces civil rights laws, you are denied being a parent for life. Well, you know what? Now the court has to deal with someone bigger than me. The law enforcement misconduct law was after Floyd. And everyone knows the tragedy with Floyd being killed by those Minnesota cops, mm-hmm. right? Who are all doing long sentences, right? Everyone knows that guy was disabled. If you would have put me in that position and my stimulator was going straight up with my obstructive sleep apnea, I'd be dead in a minute. Mm-hmm. I would not even have as long as Floyd. And Floyd had medical issues. And this guy knew it. You just killed a disabled person. And when people wanted to help him, you prevented it. So in my case, lots of people, agencies have helped me. And for years, you just say, oh, well, I got to be a convict, got to be domestic violence, because we talked about legal service Hudson Valley. Well, let's go back to it. They take $14 million a year from 2014 to 17, and now got over $30 million from the federal government and the state government. You cannot file papers in state or federal court opposing an accommodation for someone you know is disabled and say he's not disabled. And the person who did it was the head of the TBI Center, Brain Injury Center. So Doge, listen, Marc Fishman versus Court Administration, Fishman versus Solomon, go get your money back, because there's no statute of limitations on these grants. Mm-hmm. That if we show pattern behavior of someone representing and denying an accommodation for agencies that are trained. They get the largest disability funding in Westchester County for years. Get all the money back. Give the money to some good organization that helps kids. Give it to St. Jude's. Give it to Disability Rights New York. Give it to the Brain Injury Association. Give it to the Red Cross. You gave it to Legal Services. Look at these briefs, and the court all sided with them. Only court. Federal court says them disabled. California court says them disabled. New Jersey court says them disabled. New York State government says them disabled. The Brooklyn Appellate Court, Mr. Fishman's not disabled because Judge Schauer worked here for 8 years. Mr. Fishman didn't prove he needed a note taker. No, Dr. Cole at Columbia did. Dr. Brown at the College Center did. Your own psychologist said he has a hearing impairment. Judge Schauer, Mr. Fishman, hears when he wants to. And so I'll never win a case in Brooklyn, Marianne, because guess what? We mentioned this on your previous segment. I'll remind everyone again. Mm-hmm. So it came that Judge Hector LaSalle, who runs that appellate court, got nominated 2 years ago to be chief judge of our state. Our highest court's Court of Appeals, chief judges and higher judges get confirmed by the state Senate. Mm-hmm. We have a super Democratic majority in the state Senate. Very controversial. They said Judge Hector LaSalle's record leading the court is horrible for disabled and horrible for civil rights. They cited a couple cases. And for privacy reasons, they did not cite mine. I gave them my case. I gave it to Senator Hoyman. I was interviewed by Senator Hoyman's chief staff. I was interviewed by the professor at NYU and the union attorneys and joined in the effort to deny Judge LaSalle, who was the last judge to deny real-time transcription for me and a American Disabilities Advocate for my autistic son. 2 paragraphs, not explaining why. At the confirmation hearing, okay, Senator Hoyman says, I'm holding up these 3 orders. For privacy reasons, I'm not going to name names, but you have them in front of you. And you know what bothers me the most? It's not just your record on civil rights, but in each of these orders, you're denying accommodations for disabled people. You're not explaining why. Our civil rights law said if you deny it, you explain why, and you give them an opportunity to appeal, and you negotiate the accommodation. You have the interactive session. Someone's blind, you give them Braille. Mm-hmm. Someone's hearing impaired, you give them closed captioning, or you give them headphones. If someone has a mobility issue, they can have a wheelchair. You know, I have these decisions over here that are just nonsensical. You have pattern discrimination against disabled people. And, you know, what do you have to say about these 2-paragraph orders? Well, you know, the appellate division has its procedures and, you know, we don't have to explain ourselves. Excuse me? You're a judge? You want to be chief judge? You don't have to explain yourself? I would seriously hope a chief judge explains his decisions when they affect all of our citizens in New York, all 21 million of us. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, you know what, LaSalle? Okay, I'm a Jewish gay man, okay, and I believe everyone has the right to due process. So I'm going to give you what you have not given these 3 people, and one of them is me. I'm going to give you due process of the hearing. You don't have my vote to be confirmed the chief judge, but I'm going to allow you to convince my 60 other colleagues why you should be chief judge. These civil rights records out of your court are atrocious, disrespectful, and they hurt our constituents. And the fact that you won't even explain yourself, sir, is a total violation of civil rights. But I'm gonna tell you right now, and Marianne, you can go to the video on YouTube. Hector LaSalle, this is not going to be your bar mitzvah. But unlike what you did to these 3 people, this is not going to be your lynching either. We're not going to lynch you today. And one by one, Democrats came on board, Republicans. Your civil rights records are horrible. Look at this, you know. And then some of his Spanish friends, you know, including State Senator Rivera, who's in my district in the Bronx, say, you know what, Hector LaSalle, I want to clap hands. I want to congratulate you on being the first Spanish guy nominated to be on the Court of Appeal. I think it's great for our cause. And several of my constituents, several of my fellow politicians want me to vote to confirm it. I'm not going to do it. I think it's great you broke the glass ceiling, but your record on civil rights and union matters, horrible. Mm-hmm. And we elect the ideology and the record, and there's no way you're getting my vote. But I applaud you for breaking the glass ceiling. And Hector LaSalle at the Second Department used to be Schauer's boss, the Brooklyn Appeals Court, that denied my me being disabled 6 times, right? Because they said I didn't prove I was disabled. My doctors did. Okay. People without a sleep apnea tongue stimulator and without a pain stimulator, Marianne, can argue not being disabled. You're arguing I'm not disabled. I have these implants in me. Who put them in? I do it with disability. So Eckler LaSalle was the first judge who was not confirmed, not elevated. And it wasn't a Spanish thing. It was a civil rights thing, but it was a jab at that court that has no checks and balances and lets a lot of these family courts under its supervision, Nassau, Staten Island, Long Island, Westchester, Rockland, Putnam, run free without a check and balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I know now, and so do the judges in the lower court, I'll never win an appeal in Brooklyn. Never, never. Why? Why would you? Thank God I have a lot of business outside the Brooklyn court because Judge Schauer did 8 years and we embarrassed them because the federal court, okay, Marianne, not even 2 years later, did overturn Judge Eckler LaSalle. Did say, no, he's disabled with a major bodily impairment. It affects his communication. We're ordering communication accommodations against all the people there. Okay. But Judge Schauer said, it's only ordered against her when I sue her in federal court. What? Marianne doesn't say that. Mr. Fishman, you have mental health problems, she said, on the 28th of April. I invite everyone to say the transcript. I've given it to Marianne to post on her website. It's 20 minutes. Because you read these orders and it says what you want to. I said, no, Judge, it says what it says. It doesn't say what you want it to say. And you should recuse. You're a witness in the other cases. Ms. Fishman, I'm not recusing. Only I can decide recusing. Why did Judge Greenwald tell me in December 18 you recused? Well, that's his problem. Why did Judge Albert Gordon tell me you recused?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I back in front of her? Oh, because Judge Schauer's got to make sure I lose so that no one else can win parental alienation and pattern discrimination against all of them. I'm not losing. I'll die before I lose. I'm not stopping my fight. Okay, I'm not walking away from the fight with Judge Schauer. I regret not winning against Judge Schauer in 2015, 16, and suing her earlier because I could have helped a lot of other men and women not be tortured. Mm-hmm. She is a disgusting excuse and a disgrace to the robe, and she is an embarrassment. And any family going before her should be terrified that she enjoys hurting men and women. She gets a kick out of it. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. Why are you getting involved in my case? Oh, because she wants to show everyone the federal court was wrong. Federal court already ruled. Oh, Judge Schauer, you had 90 days to appeal that order, July 1621, to the Supreme Court. You didn't. You know why? Because you knew the Supreme Court would then take the case. Marc Fishman appeals, 1% chance the Supreme Court takes the case. Man, the state appeals, 55% chance Supreme Court takes it. Oh, you don't want it. It's law. And your other people say it's law. Mr. Fishman, I have serious problems with your mental health. Judge Schauer, you a doctor? You have a biology degree, your science degree?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they all do this.
But I have officers last year and officer cocaine. I wish I never met these people.
Right. You're not kidding.
I think most cops are honest and great people and good people, whatever. I think the bad apples make it worse for all of us. My cop conspired with my ex-wife. My ex-wife conspired to lie. My ex-wife committed misdemeanor A and felonies, lying on the stand and lying in an arrest report. And my ex-wife will face God one day. I wish her no ill will. And quite frankly, I never want to see or talk to her ever again. I just want my kids back. And, I miss my kids. Mm-hmm. And I hope they watch this podcast. Daddy misses you very, very much. And I've been fighting every day against a system which is designed to never, ever let anyone win, let alone a disabled person with 8 implants.
I hope you win.
Got to win, Marianne, because we got to help everyone else who wasn't even given a chance.
Right.
You and I were put in jail. In jail, I started writing my lawsuit against Judge Schauer. In jail, the warden came up to me and said, the judge should be here, not you. In the jail, the warden came up to me during my 2 weeks and said, will you help me write accommodations for all these people? He says, I can see you have a passion for this. I said, I'd be happy to help. I said, you only gave me a 3-inch pencil and I got no paper. He said, no. We're going to come in. You're going to help us here. And he says, I'm going to let, you have visits every day. I see so many disability advocates are coming. I said, thank you. But Marianne, the experience of being in jail, every time I had a visit and sometimes 2-3 times a day, I had 4 strip searches. They looked in places in your body, which I'm sure you were jailed. I didn't even know existed. There is no element of privacy anymore. I can walk naked in the street. I don't see it anymore. People saw me naked in jail, like I was brushing my teeth. I mean, what is this? You have no privacy anymore? You have no rights? And I was there looking at you. They're seeing implants. They're seeing scars. They're seeing implants. They're seeing things that you got to know, like this guy is on medical technology to help him survive. Without my nerve stimulator, I get vertigo and dizziness. But according to Schauer, I'm not disabled, I'm crazy. Well, maybe the people that have protected her, Governor Hochul, Chief Judge Minahan, previous Chief Judge Shankman, Hector LaSalle, you people are crazy. How dare you allow her to go unabated, unchecked? How dare you allow her to torture other men and women, good parents' lives? How dare you allow her to hurt kids? She is a disgusting excuse for a human being. The state Senate, Marianne, gave me, the commendation award in 2023 January for my advocacy to help disabled and veterans, and my advocacy to take on the court and help everyone with cognitive and hearing problems to have a note taker, a real-time transcription.
Oh, congratulations.
And let's just say for the record, Marianne, your senator, they're attacking him now because it's this Billy Fetterman. No one denied him real-time transcription in the Senate. His desk has a big screen. When he did all the press interviews, he had it. Look at our President Biden. I haven't seen his neuropsych report. And quite frankly, I'm not a medical doctor to diagnose him. But if you look at the hearings, Marianne, where he talked, he had note takers. Marc Fishman, can you bring your note takers up on the stand when you testify? No. Can your note taker come in to help you read? No. Your Honor, I have cubital television. I can't write. So what? I don't care. And this is who we have as a judge. Mr. Fishman, you remember when you want to. Mr. Fishman, okay, I'm going to put you in jail for 3 consecutive months consecutively. Okay, your claims that you have a bad memory belie the record. You sit here 2 weeks ago and I tell you, what about this trip to Orlando? And you smile and you say, Sky and A, we're at Epcot, we're at the Japanese restaurant and they're having fun and they're making a miso soup and my son is taking the chopsticks and stabbing the avocado roll, putting it in and taking pictures. But when I asked you why you were late 3 days ago to return the kids home, you look at me like you don't remember. And my advocate stands up. He doesn't remember. He's impaired. No. 3 weeks in jail, you remember when you want to. And maybe that'll teach you to abide by my oral instructions to you. Your Honor, he has medical needs. That is for corrections to determine. It's not my problem. And while she's doing all that, she's reading order of protection, which later became this discrimination. Leg irons, 8 cops sees me. Okay, my hands get numb in the jail cell from the handcuffs, and they want to take the handcuffs off to give me over to Westchester Corrections, and they can't get them off. Marianne, the arm is numb. 3 of them hold me up. They're trying to get him off. That's how tight. He said his arm is numb. And the advocate said, he said, his arm's numb, I'm not moving it. I said, no, this shouldn't have went on this tight. What are you doing? They lifted me up to get him on there. And I got to jail. Everything was numb. I was in holding for 13 and a half hours because the warden kept on calling Schauer. I said, I want to bring him to the hospital. I can't have this guy here. He's got 2 implants. He can't go through metal detectors. He's a total security risk. He's going to be harmed. And Judge Schauer wouldn't let him. So at 1 a.m., I was taken to the nurse's office where they said, I got to call your aide because I need your remote controls to activate these things. And I said, can I get some water? I haven't eaten or drinking in like 30 hours. She runs to the cafeteria, gets water. And here's a sandwich. She's like, where have you been? I've been on the floor and holding. What is this? So they allow my aide to come at 1:30 a.m. on June 20th to bring the remotes. By that time, I had already had holes in my neck and rashes because the stimulator couldn't be adjusted. I'm dehydrated. They put me in a hospital bed. I'm in eye block. And I was in the hospital the entire time, except I went to visitation where they strip you down before and after for a visit. And I had a lot of people coming, a lot of people calling. Evelyn Tainer, the AD advocate for Westchester County. And I got to tell you, you never forget that. Look, you had that experience. You're not going to forget being jailed. Mm-hmm. But I have to go back to Judge Schauer now.
Man, God's going to deal with her, how God does in his timing, such as my judge. You know that story.
You're right. But guess what? We have a Parental Alienation hearing, and we're going to have that hearing, and we're going to ask that courtroom to be open to everybody. And if we got to organize buses with the nonprofits to bring them there to get the biggest courthouse in that court building, we'll do it. We have absolutely nothing to hide. And quite frankly, I don't have privacy anymore. I'll never be able to buy life insurance again. I'm rated D-. Okay. You go on federal court, you see on my medical records, forget about it. Right. But according to Judge Schauer, I fake it, and I'm disabled. I'm disabled when I want to be. Want to be? I wouldn't wish this on Judge Schauer. I wouldn't wish my implants on you, and you are the most disgusting excuse for anyone who ever wore the robe. But a lot of good judges, I go to court in New York City and virtually give the accommodation, and they say, I don't understand why Westchester's fighting the accommodation. Well, this is very, very personal for Judge Schauer, which is the ultimate reason she should recuse. 3 of my appeals attorneys said, Mark, you know why she hates you? Why does she hate me? She said, you're in real estate. I said, yeah. Okay. I said, her husband was in real estate. Okay, Wayne Spector, former town attorney for Austin. You act so much like him. You remind her of him. She couldn't screw him. She had an affair divorce in Westchester. She used to be Judge Michelle Spector, right? It's not on the Schauer. Spector, S-P-E-C-T-O-R. So she couldn't hurt Spector because had a fair proceeding. So she did the next best thing, tortured you, and she enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. Sadistic, disgusting. She was for a judge, needs a mental health exam, needs to be absolutely removed from the bench. I hope others come forward, see this podcast. We join and do more group complaints against Judge Schauer. Hope we get a new head of the Commission of Judicial Conduct, take out Bob Temjeckin, 36 years of not enforcing civil rights. Shame on the appellate division that grants me accommodations when I do oral arguments or when I make a motion, but in their decisions, they say I'm not disabled, as defined in the ADA. What are you talking about? This proof of disability is minimal on the ADA. Just my sleep apnea diagnosis and a tongue stimulator put my tongue out disabled. I'm not disabled. If I'm not disabled, no one is.
Is this going to be on Teams when you do the parental alienation trial?
We don't know because, Judge Schauer blocks these things when she wants to. There's still 4 hearings she had, including one hearing she had in November of 17, where she changed the transcript. And the transcript I'm giving you permission to post, I think you're going to find 54 inaudible words. It's interesting. It's always inaudible when Judge Schauer says something which is not nice, right? Inaudible, right. Inaudible. Really? Uh-huh. You mean that you're protecting her, or yes, you won't get court business. You got to protect Queen Schauer. Why she would want the case after 7 years and 3 months is disgusting. Why should we be able to take a case? She's violating so many judicial conduct rules. And quite frankly, judges that I normally speak to, respect federal law. They respect federal judges. They respect civil rights. They respect the Voting Act. They respect the ADA. Judge Schauer has no respect for the high law. She shouldn't be a judge.
No.
You don't respect the fact that the federal Second Circuit granted me these accommodations. You don't respect them. You think they're wrong. Why don't you appeal them? Why'd you have the Attorney General do it? Why are you, forgive my French, a pussy, Judge Schauer, to have the Attorney General, Tisha James, defend you in the Supreme Court? Why did you do it yourself? Because you're weak. And you hide behind authority figures because you enjoy torturing disabled and impaired people and veterans. And I assure you, we all go back to God one day. Listen, I don't know how you're doing it. I'm a nonviolent person, and I love my kids. I want my kids. But you are a disgusting excuse for a judge and a human being. And I'm glad that all these investigations are coming out, and you can't ignore them. And I know there is zero possibility that I'll get any fair trial from you. The only thing I know is I believe the Doge is going to come after all your grants for your supervised visitation, for your ACS, for your CPS, for your legal services, for all your friends, and get the money back. Because, look, I got all these transcripts. So you're just violating civil rights and having these other attorneys violate civil rights, violating disability rights. This is torture and shame. My body's taken the abuse. And I believe I wouldn't have kidney stones. I believe I wouldn't have had relapses. I wouldn't have had a double hernia. I wouldn't have had neuropathy infections if you would have just let me alone and let me just peacefully co-parent my kids. Right. But that was never in the cards for you because you are this disability discriminating civil rights filing Judge Schauer. And if you're not going to recuse now, listen, there are consequences to government. I am not going to stop the fight. And if you jail me, I'm not going to stop the fight. And my friends will continue to fight. And we have a Parental Alienation hearing where you can't be fair. Well, you're going to be a witness. You and your D'Ambrosio are going to be a witness. Why you would want to continue here just goes to show your sadistic, selfish, and disability discrimination nature and motives. And it's sad because, I got a mouth and I got a second, attempt at being alive after being hit by a van, driving my kids to school. June 10, 13. And in that case, in the Bronx court, which we still haven't gone to trial on, Marianne, Judge Hummel, Democratic judge, said, I'm disabled under the ADA. He said, I have nerve impairment, and it's caused by his accident. So Judge Schauer's own Democratic judges all said you're disabled. But according to Judge Schauer, you're not. Why is she so obsessed? Marianne, I love you, and you're such a great advocate, but I'm a very boring person, okay? I like to look at the flowers. I like to go to the botanical garden. I'm not interesting. Why do you have to torture me, Judge Schauer?
It's because you're nice and you're an empath, and these judges pick it up because they're sociopaths.
We're told that Judge Schauer's court attorney, D'Ambrosio, called Schlesinger and called Officer Cocaine the day of the false arrest to tell him to arrest. We know in New Rochelle, it's one of the only places, Marianne, where the cops serve the order of protections. The initial ones. Okay? Judge Schauer, how long do you think these people are going to protect you? You know, we'll get the phone records. Your court attorney has testified, the one who denied my note taker. Did she tell these cops to arrest me, despite the fact I didn't violate any order? I was trying to abide by your order. My biggest mistake, Marianne, was trying to comply since 2013 accident with these ridiculous visitation requirements, aids and pickup times and pickup locations. We get a call, I'm in New York City, you want to see your kid, come to Chappaqua. She's racing there. You want to see your kid, you have to go to the end of Van Cortlandt Park. She's in a race. You want to see your son, you can pick him up at hockey, then you can pick up your daughter in Fishkill. Or you won't see him. Marianne, I did it. Sucked it up. I love my kids. But now it's like, oh, we couldn't get him on his duties to parent and abide by agreement. Let's falsify a crime with Officer Cocaine and with Officer Schlesinger. Pattern law enforcement misconduct, cocaine planting, done. Officer Cocaine, I believe is in his early 40s. The average life expectancy, Marianne, I think is 76. He lost 35 years of pension. That's $3 million. Officer Schlesinger, okay, 41 years old, lost his pension, okay, didn't get 20 years service. That's $5 million. I'm getting threats. Threaten me. I'm on borrowed time anyway, Marianne. Colon cancer, kidney stone, neuropathy. Threaten me. I don't care. We're going to have our parentation trial. We're going to have our day in court. We're going to have our day in federal court. And all of those who protected Judge Schauer and all those who violated disability rights, okay, you are going to have to answer for it in a court of law. Whether I'm alive or not. We got lots of disabled friends. We are the biggest minority in the United States of America, Marianne. We are the only guaranteed club that you are definitely going to join when you get older. You're going to become disabled. You're going to be one of us. You attack one of us, you attack all of us. And there's zero possibility of disability discrimination. And just look at Fetterman. Why are they attacking him now? Because he says it like it is. You know, oh, you go after Jews, students in Columbia. It's anti-Semitism. Oh, go let the people march and scare the hell out of the Jewish students. What? You're supposed to study in school. Why are you scaring the Jewish students? Oh, it doesn't matter. We have a right to speech. You have a right to speech. You're some terrorist. You have a right to speech. You go and scare these people at night. You send them emails saying swastikas and stuff. Let them study in peace. They're going to do to you. Oh, they're just Jewish? Oh, so you think that Jewish disabled people don't have a right to study? Oh, so we can't. Oh, so now you're upset because you lose funding? What's going on with Harvard needs to happen at legal services. What's going on with Harvard needs to happen with the New York court system and the Pennsylvania court system. You take federal funds, you get your funds suspended. And Marianne, I want to compliment you. In your state, mentioned in the last podcast, the DOJ actually sued your court system for people who are disabled with opioids. So a judge ruled in one of your counties, some ridiculous thing, the head of the administrative judge, blanket that everyone facing a criminal charge who's on anti-opioid medication needs to be taken off at cold turkey to have their cases heard. Family court, criminal court, civil court. What about a combination of everyone's individual disabilities? Oh, screw that. I'm the judge. Oh, yeah, no. Screw you, Pennsylvania courts. You got sued. And even though the DOJ got the first lawsuit, you won, you got it dismissed against them, they sued again. And administratively, you were told you cannot administrate your court to blanket discriminate against everyone. You do not take someone who is successfully battling an opioid addiction and take off their medication because you want to hold family court. No. And you don't do a blanket. You got to look at everyone's individual disability Individual accommodations. I'm
Well,
glad DOJ went after Pennsylvania. They'll never do New
yeah.
York. You know why, Marianne?
Mhm.
Because all the people at DOJ are from New York. So they'll never go after New York. But we got the order. They paid $100,000 to those people. And they said there won't be any blanket withdrawal of the medication, no blanket terminations.
Well, you never know. I mean, my child support judge put me in jail and did not give me my prescription benzodiazepine. And if you take someone off of that, it's life-threatening, like my physician told her in the physician verification form that Judge Elizabeth Kelly ignored.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah,
They discriminate against you for your major bodily impairment. That's
right. That
discrimination.
they caused in family court. I didn't need those meds until I was in family court.
And I'll give you the opposite. The people in Westchester County Jail, some of the administrators are very decent people. They allowed the jail pharmacist, I didn't even know they were jail pharmacists, to meet my pharmacist to give me my cholesterol medication, Praluent, because, it keeps me normal. I have hypocholesterolemia, genetically high cholesterol, no matter what I eat. And you go off for 2 weeks, you're screwed,
Mm-mm.
and so they allowed that shot to get to the pharmacist to give it to me in the jail. I was very thankful. Um,
Wow.
and the pharmacist was so excited, like, oh, we want to get progressive medication jail. You're like the first one. And he says they like you. They don't let anyone do this. Marianne, I'll never forget. It's a drug I injected in my thigh. It looks like a pen. It's a very deep, pointy shot, and
Yep.
it pierced the skin. And the nurse comes in, and the guards come in, and I'm in a 4-person room in the hospital. And she's like saying, are you wearing underwear? I said I'm wearing underwear. She's like, so I don't want to see your stuff. I said, look, it doesn't matter, and she said, I'm going to put this in your thigh. And she's shaking like this. And I said, miss, you can't inject that. I said, let me inject. She said, no, I got to hold it. She says, I'm told the shot's $1,500. And they warned me if I break the shot, it's coming out of my pay. I said, miss, how about you hold my hand while I inject? Female guards, female wardens, the other
Oh my
prisoners in the
God.
hospital bed, 19 people looking at Marc Fishman have a shot
Oh my
of
God.
cholesterol interrogation. And then afterwards, she says to me, Mr. Fishman, I want to thank you. She's like, there's no way I could have injected that in your skin. I was so nervous. I didn't
Oh,
sleep
yeah.
all last night knowing that. I said, miss,
Oh,
it's okay. It's okay. And she's like, no, please don't tell my sporting doctor I couldn't hold the shot. I said, miss, I said, it's okay to be fearful. I said, I have empathy for you. You think I'm going to file a punishment report? For
mhm.
what? You're helping
Right.
me keep my cholesterol low. No. But you really helped me out because if I would have broke your shot, I know that you can't get another one. I said, we're good. So that's it. So we're good. And the guard says, is she good? I said, we're good. I said,
Oh,
guess what? No one makes more mistakes than Marc Fishman. You got to race around a pencil for a reason. We don't get punished because you make a mistake. In my case, I get punished for not making a mistake. I made a mistake. I married Jennifer Solomon. Death warrant. Death warrant.
I'm so sorry.
I got a
Wow.
nice woman now, 11 years.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. How do you be 11-year relationship? Oh, because obviously you're not the devil they describe you as. Why they
Hmm.
want you to be a devil? You don't want to co-parent. Why do you destroy someone with domestic violence? The only way she gets free attorneys. Legal services couldn't defend her on income. They couldn't defend her on the order of protection. Oh, domestic violence. Domestic violence what? Did I ever hit you? No. The police reports I hit you? No. Ever scream at you? No. Ever take away your car? No. Ever threaten you? No. What is it all about? He's spinning out of control. Oh, you mean I have symptoms of a TBI that you don't like?
Oh.
My skin turns red. I get bloodshot. I have rashes and hives. Um, I get skin tags burned off. You know, the spinning out
Oh.
of control. Maybe Judge Schauer is spinning out of control.
Oh, I would say, I'm so glad you came on to talk today.
Thanks for having me.
Well,
Hope
how
I didn't.
could,
I hope I didn't babble too much. But
no.
good things happen, and I'll tell everyone: keep the fight, stay the course. I
Yes.
remember 2 people telling me saying you're never going to get a parent alienation hearing. I said I'm going to get a parent alienation hearing. And Mark, in your dreams, no. We have about 28 reference cases of terminating support. My support on my second twin was terminated because of his mother not taking him to visitation. And willful interference, and
Yes. Yes.
to use a pandemic to stop acts to kids when disability providers aren't given in person. It's a disgrace and embarrassment. But it's really an embarrassment to Judge Minahan, and Judge Heckler out for not stopping Schauer.
Right.
You could have
Right.
stopped her, and your decisions resulted in the failure of a judge to be elevated. Never happened before in New York. And instead of getting Judge Heckler out, disability discrimination to the South, we got Judge Wilson. And I want to say, Judge Wilson, thank you for your pro-criminal reform stance. Thank you for your pro-civil rights. Thank you for your rights for family court. Judge Wilson is so in favor of parents and right to visitation that Judge Wilson wrote the dissent in the Happy Elephant case in the Bronx Zoo. I believe the Elephant Society of Protecting Elephants petitioned the court to allow Happy, the elephant in the Bronx Zoo, to have visitation with his African relatives. I'm a big animal lover. I think animal lovers' rights all the way. If you want to visit in Africa, go take it. But he was in the dissent, but he said Happy the elephant in the Bronx Zoo has a right of visitation with his relatives. Marion, we have hope. Because we wouldn't have got Judge Wilson unless we got Judge Heckler evicted from the state Senate. And it was united. Conservative Democrats, moderate Republicans, liberal Democrats. We don't want Heckler out. So we got Judge Wilson, who thinks it's fair, like the rest of us do. Happy the elephant should go spend the rest of his years with his relatives in Africa. What is this crap? So if Happy the elephant can get visitation and Marc Fishman can get a Parental Alienation hearing, and Marc Fishman can get two cops terminated that convicted me for not committing a crime, for not going to property, everyone else watching this podcast can win visitation, win an alienation hearing, and prove your case. Because if I can do it with two batteries in my chest, passing a couple kidney stones, neuropathy, colon cancer, remember, I'm on borrowed time. I should be dead from that car accident. A lot of my friends are paraplegic. It wasn't God's will. If I can do it, and if Happy the elephant get visitation, Marianne, every one of your viewers and friends and get visitation, get their kids back too.
Most definitely. How can people reach you if they have any questions?
Well, on change.org, we have a bunch of petitions. One, to, convince the DA to drop the charges. You're more than welcome to comment there. My email, very easy to remember, rentdriver, RENTDRIVER, rentdriver @gmail.com. Feel free to message me on Facebook. Contact Marianne's site. You'll see me linked over there. Again, we want to share the transcripts with everyone. We have nothing to hide. I want everyone to see that Judge Schauer feels she doesn't have to recuse because she lost in federal court, and for Judge Schauer to say that she can be fair and impartial in my case. Really?
Yeah.
And for Judge Schauer to admit she took the case from Judge Burke, who didn't recuse. And I should get my own attorney now, because who cares about what Judge Rose and Judge Burke said about us? Give me a signed attorney for my disabilities and my need for a complicated case. No. Judge Schauer says, you got to prove you need an attorney. Screw you, I'm taking it away. Oh, okay. But my ex-wife gets a free attorney from Hudson Valley Justice Center. She goes to Hudson Valley Justice Center now because one of her attorneys left legal services. Hudson Valley Justice Center doesn't take federal funds. Oh, so you acknowledge that you can't do the torture you've been doing. So why don't we reverse all decisions in the appellate court? I filed an appeal. Reverse it, saying they took federal funds. All these decisions that they're advocating are not to say we need to reverse. No, they're not. The appellate division is not going to acknowledge his mistakes. This isn't going to be resolved in appeals decisions. Judge, the Court of Appeals on the De Fiori, refused to take cases. Our Court of Appeals takes less cases, Marianne, than the U.S. Supreme Court. It's true. So how could you get in? So, and the Supreme Court, unless you're a state, unless you're the president, federal, they don't have the bandwidth. But the point is, we have the civil rights laws. We have the law. In my case, I just asked them to enforce state law S5533B. If you are hearing impaired and you ask for real-time transcription, the court has provided, every court has installed. Except if you're Marc Fishman, you don't have it because we don't believe you're disabled. But the law doesn't say you got to prove disability. You have a tinnitus disability. Tinnitus is the largest disability filing for veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan, by far, a reason to grant disability. So they're disabled, but Marc Fisher can't be because he sued Judge Schauer, and she says he's not disabled. He's just crazy. Well, guess what, Judge Schauer? I'm not crazy. You are. Exactly. And I'll see you in court.
Most definitely. Hey, don't jump off. Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you so much, Marc Fishman. Best of luck, and I want you to win.
Thank you, Marianne, and thank you for helping so many and giving a forum and bringing us all together. Because my win is a win for everybody. I couldn't have done this
Yes.
without friends. I could have done this without doctors. I could not have done this without my aides and assistants who wire me up every day.
Right.
But I can't give up the fight because my kids are almost 17, and I really don't know if I will see them again. I love you, kids. But for the next person disabled that can't fight, I can't drop this fight.
Right.
You can't go. You can't be forced to go through this. You don't have to go to jail like Mary and I do to prove that we need civil rights enforced. No, 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 no. We'll see you in court.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.